G'day, it's Denodon here, and welcome back to the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo 2949. Today featuring MISC, Argo Astronautics, and technically Crusader, although Crusader Industries does not actually have any equipment available on the show floor. So there's a few more things today compared to the previous days, so let's quickly go and have a look around and see what's on display. So here we have the Argo series, or the Argo MPUVs technically, given they have more than one ship now. Now they have two variants here. This is the passenger... Oh, billboard in the way. There is a passenger module here. God damn, I keep getting stuck there. Yeah, this passenger module is basically the Javelin escape pod style thing. It can carry about 8 people in it. And the thing with the MPUV is that top chassis is all modular, so the pods underneath it are how you change it. So you've got the passenger one there, and then this one over here is the cargo variant, which as you can see replaces the passenger pod with a cargo pod. Now it's actually a reasonable capacity if I remember right. It is smaller than the Pisces, I believe, which is a bit unusual given it actually physically looks like it's got more space. Another billboard in my way. But yeah, they're actually nice ships to fly. They don't have a quantum drive, however, which is a shame, because they could really do with one, especially for ferrying from planet side to surface. Here we have the MISC Razor, more specifically the MISC Razor LX, which I believe is supposed to be a sort of luxury-esque version of the Razor, which is MISC's competitor to the M50 Racer. It's not a bad ship to fly, actually. I'm not sure I would recommend the variants. They don't really have that much benefit, but they're certainly a cool looking thing. Next up, we have the base variant of the Razor, which in my opinion looks the nicest, and you can definitely see that it is basically a Formula 1 car that flies instead of has wheels. Not a bad look if you ask me. It handles pretty well. I still kind of prefer the look of the M50 myself, but this is a little bit smaller and I think slightly quicker. And finally, we have the Razor EX, which is the sort of Interceptor stealthy based version, just like the M50 is supposedly an Interceptor. This one, as you can see, has bigger guns on it, but otherwise it's pretty much the same. I think it has like stealth components or something, so it sacrifices a little bit of performance for that extra power, but it's hard to really tell, honestly. I don't have that much experience with these particular ships. Here we have the MISC Prospector, which was the first dedicated mining ship actually available to fly in the game. Now it is, well, it's a single seater, just has a pilot seat and a little bed and cabin. It's actually got a really nice interior. These saddlebags on the side, which it can apparently jettison in order to have more capacity, though it can't do that at this time. And then those VTOL gimbaling engines. Now this is actually a really nice ship to fly. It's not too big, like it can actually fit in quite a few ships like the 890 Jumps hangar. And yes, it's got a bed and everything, so if you want a small ship that you can make a little bit of a profit mining, this is definitely the choice for you. Plus I reckon the front of it looks a bit like a Spartan helmet. Moving on, we have the first of the many Freelancers available, this one being just the baseline Freelancer model. Now they are pretty good ships. They're focused primarily on cargo haul, but they have reasonable guns, as you can see, the 2 chin turrets on either side, and a manned turret at the back. They're not the heaviest armed freighters at all, but they're pretty decent firepower for what they are. They also have a full proper interior with up to 4 beds, 4 crew stations, plus the turret, and in the back you can fit some of the small rovers and bikes, so they're overall a pretty flexible ship, I have to say. Compared to the Cutlass, this one's a bit less agile, but it does carry more cargo, thanks to this nice roomy space in the back there. Now if you thought the Freelancer had a large cargo space, just look at the cargo space in this version, the Freelancer Max. Yeah, it's quite a bit bigger, isn't it? It's also got the 4 engines, I guess, because it needs twice the power to move twice the cargo. Yeah, it basically is doubled up and everything. Still has the same firepower pretty much as the base Freelancer. However, it does have the 2 guns, so you've got a little bit of a difference there. So something you want to keep in mind, I suppose, is that I feel it's going to be balanced in future. Right now, it's a little limited in what it can do aside from just trading, but then again, this is the variant designed for that. So if that is your decision, then go for it. Next up, we have the Freelancer Adder. This is the exploration variant of the Freelancer, with the big sort of nipple-like sensors on the nose there, and then underneath another jump point scanner. This also replaces some of the firepower with smaller guns, I believe. It still has the rear turret, however, and then it does have external drop tanks. But no, this is quite... No, I don't want a contract. That can go away, thank you. But yes, this is quite a nice ship, if you ask me, at least in looks. And I feel like if you want sort of more general purpose, this is a good one, because the extended range and, in theory, we don't know for sure, upgraded jump drive means it should be able to travel a good distance while still being able to carry some cargo. It doesn't have the most cargo capacity, but it's still pretty good, so if you want to use a ship for exploration, but don't want to sacrifice everything to do that, this might be the ship for you. Next up, in this rather nice looking green, you have the Freelancer Miss. This is basically the military version of the Freelancer. See those two hatches on the roof? They are automatic reloading missile launchers. This thing carries lots of missiles. It sacrifices a lot of its cargo capacity to carry them, but this is probably a really good escort if you don't mind throwing money. I mean, look at the guns this thing has on its chin turrets as well. They are quite mean looking. But yes, this has a lot more firepower than the base Freelancer because of that. But most of it is, as I said, in missiles, so they're going to be quite costly to use. However, when missiles work properly anyway, it would also mean much more quick kills. You know, this thing could be a good escort to take something out quickly to protect something else, be it a convoy or like one of the bigger Hull series ships, or even the Starfarers over there. Speaking of Starfarers, there's two variants here. This one is the Starfarer Gemini. This is the original model that has been upgraded by Aegis. And you can see one of the big changes is that intake scoop at the front for fuel has been replaced by big missile launchers. The rest of the ship has this sort of olivey colour, and interior wise it's supposed to have more strengthened bulkheads and things. It trades off some of its fuel capacity to be more durable, a bit more tanky, but at least visually externally all the pods appear to be pretty much the same. The engines, however, have been changed, as you can see when we get around to it. They're slightly different. I mean, not majorly different, but slightly different. And I'm not sure if that's supposed to be more like stealth nozzles or something, but you can see the central engine there and then the two on either side. They've got these sort of rectangular shrouded ducts, whereas the base Starfarer has more rounded engines. And here we have the base Starfarer. This one, as I said before, you can see has the regular fuel scooping intake in the chin instead of the missiles. Otherwise, the armament is pretty similar. I believe its durability is a bit less right now, but that's pretty much the only difference they have going between them in their current implementation. I do believe the Starfarer is due to get some sort of update pass, as it was one of the first truly large ships added to the game, and they've really improved their designs since then. Especially the implementation of some of the technologies I feel can be improved. But as we see here, or you can see rather, the engines in the base Starfarer are a little different to the Geminis. They're these big rounded things, but otherwise they're pretty much the same. Both variants are still missing the underbelly refueling booms. I don't know if they will be added in future, but hopefully, given this ship is not supposed to just scoop and collect fuel, it's also meant to refuel other ships. And as you can sort of see here, these two ships here side by side mean there's a hell of a lot of fuel sitting here on the show floor. Moving on now, we have the MISC Reliant series. These are basically the Tech 2 sort of starter ships. This one here, the Reliant Mako, has this big camera, as you can see in one of the wingtips. This is basically a ship that's been designed by content creators like Twitch streamers and whatever. And yeah, that's pretty much what it's designed for. It's like the equivalent of a news van. It takes the basic hull and it basically updates it for broadcasting. You've got that camera inside, then under the back, when we get around, just duck under the wing here so you can see around the back. You've got a little recording station, as you can see right there, and then some beds. So there's no cargo capacity in this one, but you can use it for that role. Not sure how that role will actually go yet. There is obviously no integration for that yet, but it will be interesting to see in future. Next up, we have the Reliant Core. This is the base model. I fell off the ladder, that's not good. But yeah, that's the base model of the Reliant here. Now, it's not particularly special. It doesn't have any of the unique abilities of its other siblings. Oh, can I get up here? There we go. But it does have cargo capacity. It has no beds, though. It trades out the beds to have a bit of cargo space. So, as you can see, reasonable cargo space in there. You can't, however, fit something like a Dragonfly in there. They're too big to fit, which is a shame. Otherwise, it's not a bad little hauler. Just, yeah, not much reason to go with one, sadly. Next up, we have the Reliant Tanner. This is basically the fighter version of the Reliant, or skirmisher, I suppose. It replaces the sensors with these two sort of gimbling turrets on the wings, as you can see here. Decent sized gun. I believe it's a size 3, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, it's actually a bit jerky there. It's got a reasonable amount of firepower to it. Still has a bed inside, or 2 beds, and it's got a little armor rack, so a little weapons rack too. So it's not a bad interior. Again, no cargo capacity, and these I believe are quite fragile, but you know, for their size, they've got reasonable firepower. Just don't go into a slugging match. But yeah, these turrets look kind of cool, I have to say. Finally, we have the Reliant N. This is the exploration variant. Oh, can I get on the stairs, please? There we go. Yeah, this is the exploration variant. Similar looking camera to the Mako there, as you can see. But it's got this sort of weird little scanner. Now, this one is not so much about the scanning in the traditional sense. This one is more about sort of going out and processing reports, if I remember correctly. The interior is pretty interesting. You've got this little scanning station and then the 2 beds. But yeah, it's basically just a little research ship. There's not really much more I can say about it. So that's it for today. Quite a bit on display, as you can see. Pretty much predominantly MISC. You got the 2 little Argo MPUVs. They don't have any of their other ships available in-game yet. Although the Mole is just around the corner, but sadly not available today. And then Crusader, which has a few ships that sadly none of them are actually flyable, so they're not visible. But yeah, not a bad day. Certainly a bit more variety than the previous one. And let me know what you think. Until next time, I'm Denodon. This is Star Citizen. Safe landings.